Welcome to Aaron channel, and welcome back to the penultimate video of the screw thread course. This is just gonna be a short video, and we are going to have a look at a common error that can occur when we are making our sweeps, and we are gonna have a look at a few best practices. So to demonstrate this, I'll just start a new part, and you don't have to follow along with this section, you can just watch it. So I started a part, and I'm throwing a circle on the top plane and extruding it. And you might notice it that I'm using the mouse gestures to access the commands like the circle tool and smart dimension. And this is just a quick way to speed up your workflow a little bit. And this is covered more in our full Solidworks course. So let's extrude say 50mm just for this example. And this will be representing the bolt shaft. I'll then start the sketch on the bottom face and convert this outer edge into a circle. And then I'll use this to add a helix. So let's just set the pitch as 10mm and enough revolutions to fill up the entire extrude, and the start angle as 0. And these settings don't really matter, but it's just for the example. We can then exit the helix and throw a sketch for the thread profile. So I'm just going to throw a triangle on the right plane, and I'm going to show you an example of something that can go wrong with our sweep. So the triangle looks correct, it's set so the top corner is touching the helix. And then we've set the 60 degrees, and we've set the height of it the same as the pitch of the helix, which is 10mm. And this all looks like it should maybe extrude correctly. But if we exit this sketch, and then we select the sketch and the helix, and we try to do a swipe boss base. And here, now it works. You'll see we get no zero thickness error notification appears. But it also doesn't work in much earlier versions of Solidworks, because it contains a zero thickness error. Maybe we will try to describe a little bit about zero thickness error in the following sketch. So, as in the following illustration, there are two solid bodies that are attached long, but in the attached area, they only have very minimal thickness. The actual issue here is a zero thickness error. So let's take a closer look at it. And that's because the top point of this triangle is 10mm from the bottom point, and we are trying to sweep them exactly 10mm apart. So Solidworks is basically trying to calculate two points meeting exactly, and they'll have a zero thickness between them. And this is what causes the error. But basically you can have 2 points touching exactly. So there's actually a few ways we can fix this. We can edit the sketch and we can adjust that 10mm distance. So perhaps you can make it slightly smaller, maybe down to 9.5mm, but keep the helix pitch the same at 10mm. And if we try to make the swipe feature, you should see that it works correctly, because you've actually got a small gap between those 2 points. So if I press Ctrl Z to undo that and go back into the sketch, you can also extend the bottom of the thread profile out a little bit, similar to the way we did in the proper thread profile video. And I'll quickly just add some lines to show you how that works. So you could add lines like this. Obviously, that'd be fully defined in a real sketch. And then when you exit the sketch and make the sweep feature, now it should work correctly. Because these two flat faces are actually touching each other, so you don't have the two triangle corners both going to zero thickness and trying to touch each other. And this is one of the reasons why it's good to try and keep that radius at the root of the thread profile. So I'm now using Ctrl Z to undo again to get back into the sketch. And you could also make the thread profile slightly larger, so you could increase it beyond 10mm. So it's just a little bit larger than a helix pitch. This should work correctly, but I don't recommend making your thread pitch larger than your helix pitch, because potentially this can cause problems with self-intersecting sweeps. So I would recommend just adding that small root section to the bottom of your thread profile when you're sweeping. Then one final point, if we go back to our sketch and click on the top corner and remove the coincident relation, we can now drag the triangle around. So it's not exactly touching the helix. So obviously it's not fully defined, but we can exit the sketch and we can try to make our sweep feature again. And you might see that this actually works even though the profile isn't touching the path. And in this last sketch example stage that we should avoid in my Solidworks version with the length of this triangle, it doesn't work. It just says the sweep operation failed to complete. And that doesn't really tell you anything about what's actually going wrong. These things happens because there is most likely a zero thickness error in the sketch. But if you reduce or add the length of this triangle, then it will work. That's occurs because we don't have any sharp corners or 2 points touching each other as they sweep. But I don't recommend that you do this because potentially this can cause problems. It is definitely much better to avoid. So I recommend that you always try to have a point of your profile sketch intersecting somewhere on the path, whether that's a helix or another sketch. So that's it for this video. The main thing to remember is make sure you don't have any sharp corners touching each other as they sweep, because this can cause you a zero thickness error. You should also try to make sure that your profile height is smaller than the helix pitch, because otherwise this could cause a self-intersecting error. And then you should always try to make sure that your profile intersects the path somewhere. If you do have any other errors that aren't covered in this, just write them in the comment below and I'll answer them down there. If there's enough interest or if there's a common error that keeps popping up, then I'll update this video and add it to the end of this course. The next video is the very last video and it will just recap the entire course. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like. I hope it can be a little helpful and useful.